In a quiet village nestled between the mountains and the sea lived a young man named Kian. He was known for his cheerful nature and bright smile, always bringing joy to those around him. Kian loved to laugh and believed that life was meant to be filled with happiness. He spent his days playing music, helping his neighbors, and enjoying the simple pleasures of life. One day, an old wanderer arrived in the village. His face was weathered, and his eyes, though kind, carried the weight of many years of sorrow and wisdom. The villagers welcomed him, offering food and shelter, but Kian felt uneasy around the old man. He couldn't understand why someone with such deep sorrow in their eyes could be at peace. Curious, Kian approached the old man and asked, "You have traveled far and seen many things, but you look so sad. Why do you carry sorrow with you?" The old man smiled softly and replied, "Sorrow is a part of life, just as happiness is. One cannot exist without the other. Those who try to live only in happiness will eventually be visited by sorrow, just as surely as the sun sets after it rises. The key to peace is to accept both, for they are companions on the journey of life." Kian was puzzled. But why should we accept sorrow? Isn't life meant to be full of joy? The old man looked out at the mountains and said, "Happiness and sorrow are like the changing seasons. Spring brings flowers, but autumn takes them away. Without winter's cold, we wouldn't appreciate the warmth of summer. In the same way, without sorrow, we cannot truly understand the depth of happiness. It is in accepting both that we find true contentment." Kian thought about the old man's words, but couldn't bring himself to agree. He believed that if he worked hard enough, he could avoid sorrow and live a life filled only with joy. For many months, Kian lived as he always had, seeking out happiness in every corner of life. He threw lively gatherings, played music, and surrounded himself with friends. But soon, life began to change. His beloved pet grew old and passed away, and his closest friend had to move to another town. The laughter that had once filled Kian's days was replaced by an unfamiliar emptiness. Kian, devastated by these losses, tried to ignore his sadness, but the more he fought it, the heavier it became. He withdrew from his friends, afraid that his sorrow would overshadow the happiness he had once shared with them. For the first time, Kian felt lost. One evening, as he sat by the riverbank, watching the water flow by, the old man appeared again. Seeing the sorrow in Kian's eyes, he sat beside him in silence for a while before speaking. "Kian," the old man said gently, "you cannot escape sorrow, just as you cannot hold on to happiness forever. They are two sides of the same coin, and both have their place in life. To push sorrow away is to deny part of yourself, and in doing so, you also push away the fullness of joy." Tears welled up in Kian's eyes as he spoke. "I thought I could avoid sadness, that if I focused only on happiness, it would be enough. But now, I feel more lost than ever." The old man nodded. "It's not about avoiding sorrow, but embracing it when it comes, just as you embrace happiness when it arrives. Sorrow teaches us the value of the moments we cherish, and happiness reminds us that light always returns after the darkest night. To live fully is to accept both." Kian listened, finally understanding the wisdom in the old man's words. He realized that trying to live without sorrow had made him fear life itself. He had been so focused on holding on to happiness that he had forgotten how to live through the ebb and flow of emotions. From that day on, Kian learned to welcome both joy and sorrow into his life. He continued to laugh and find happiness in music and friendship, but he also allowed himself to feel sadness when it came, knowing that it was a natural part of life's cycle. And in accepting both, he found a deeper sense of peace than he had ever known. As the seasons changed, So did Kian's understanding of life. He saw that happiness and sorrow walked hand in hand, each giving meaning to the other. He no longer feared sorrow, for he knew that after every sorrowful moment, happiness would surely follow, just as the sun rises after the darkest night. Moral of the story: happiness and sorrow are companions in life. By accepting both, we can find true peace and understanding. Life is not meant to be filled only with joy, but with a balance of emotions that together create a full and meaningful experience.